Yerushalayim, the holiest, most special city in the world, is described in the Torah in Chumash Devarim as Hamakom Asher Yivchar Hashem L'Shakein Shmo Sham. It is the place, Har Bayis in Yerushalayim, that Hashem picked out of the entire world to rest His Shechina in the first Beis HaMikdash, the second Beis HaMikdash, and Amir Hashem Karov Yameinu, the third Beis HaMikdash. But interestingly, the Torah doesn't identify where this Makom Asher Yivchar Hashem L'Shakein Shmo Sham is. The Torah just says in the future where Hashem will choose. But historically, how did that happen? How did Hashem choose Yerushalayim as the place for His Shechina? So interestingly, we read in Sefer Shmuel that David HaMelech, when he took over from Shaul, reigned, he had his capital in Hebron for 7 years. Because all the representatives of all the Shvatim came to David and asked him to be their king and anointed him, appointed him king in Hebron. 7 years later, David decided to begin planning a Beit HaMikdash, to bring the Aron HaBrit, the Aron HaKodesh, to a special place which would be the spiritual and political capital of Am Yisrael, and brought it to Yerushalayim. Why did he choose Yerushalayim? What made David HaMelech pick what was then a non-Jewish city inhabited by a nation called Yevusim to be his capital and to be the Makom Asher Yivchar Hashem? Some Mefarshim suggest, the Rambam, Mordevuchim, and others, that he had some sort of Masorah, and the Torah Shabbal Peh that was in his hands told him that Yerushalayim was a special place, that perhaps that was the location of Akedat Yitzchak. Perhaps that was where Adam Harishon was created and brought a korban. So perhaps he was merely working off his Masorah. However, the Malbim suggests a deeper explanation. Throughout Jewish history, there had been tension between the different Shvatim, the different tribes. Maybe now we would call them sects or political parties, the different types of Jews. From the very beginning of the Jewish people, Yaakov's sons fought with each other, the Bnei Leah and the Bnei Rachel. Throughout the period of Sefer Shoftim, if we read the book of Shoftim, we see the different Shvatim, best case scenario, not getting along and not helping one another, worst case scenario, actually warring against one another. And in Sefer Shmuel, first Shaul is appointed king from the Shevet of Binyamin, and then somehow there's some coup, and Hashem switches the leadership to Shevet Yehuda and anoints David HaMelech. You can only imagine the tension between Binyamin and Yehuda over who would be king, who is the most important Shevet, who is the leader, perhaps going all the way back in history to Yaakov's family and Yosef and Binyamin against Reuven, Shimon, Levi, and Yehuda. You can imagine what politics must have been like in those days. What did David HaMelech decide? By all logic, if you asked any contemporary politician, he should have kept the capital of the state of Israel in Hebron. He should have kept it in his tribe of Yehuda and consolidated power in the hands of the leaders of Yehuda. But David made a bold, brave move. He said, if I'm really king of Am Yisrael, a king of Am Yisrael can't be a king of one faction of Am Yisrael. Can't represent one sect or one political party or one hashkafa or one type of Jew. A king means someone who equally represents all kinds of Jews and transcends his sectarian identity. And therefore he picked the two Shvatim that were most at odds with each other, Yehuda and Binyamin, and found one city which is exactly on the border of Yehuda and Binyamin. Chazal tell us a few places in Shas that Yerushalayim and Har Bayis was exactly on the borderline of Yehuda and Binyamin, and this is very clear in the Psukim in Sefer Yoshua, where they list the borders and the cities of each Shevet's inheritance, where Yerushalayim is listed on the border of Yehuda and on the border of Binyamin. It was exactly the no man's land between them. David HaMelech says, you know what, there are two Shvatim fighting. There are a lot of Jews who have trouble getting along. Let me put my capital exactly in between them to make the statement that I'm not the king representing one kind of Jew or another kind of Jew, but I equally represent all kinds of Jews, that all Jews are equal, and that all parts of the Jewish people are equally important.